Pleasant good evening. Welcome to Plain Talk. Good morning if you're watching us on the rerun, and it's morning where you are. I am Philip Edward Alexander. I am, among other things, the political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Plain Talk is a production of PEP Media. We are live, well, not live as yet, but we are at PEP Studios filming this. I am joined in studio today by senior PEP members, Deputy Political Leader Anthony Defoe.
Hello, good evening, Trinidad and Tobago.
She is the deputy chair of party organization and the head of PEP South, Michelle Davis.
Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago.
And one of the chairs, she's a co-chair of the youth arm of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Akila Bermudez.
Hello guys.
When we come back from our outro on this intro, we'll get down to today's conversation. We hope to get into corruption when we come back. And we're back. This is Plain Talk. The issue today is corruption. I want to put something on the table so that we understand the level that we should be aiming at. I'm looking at the Canadian government website, and under the heading Procurement Policies, the guide says, the Ontario government's procurement policies require that goods contracts valued at $25,000 or more and services and construction contracts valued at $100,000 or more must use open competition. Consulting contracts of any value must use competitive tendering. Open competitive procurements are advertised by the Ontario government. There's other things here. The Ontario government is committed to trade agreements that allow Ontario vendors to have access to procurement opportunities within and outside of Canada. To ensure Ontario vendors have equal access to opportunities outside Ontario, Ontario does not apply any local preferences in its procurements. And some of these things here are so important to add to the conversation. The Ontario government encourages environmentally responsible purchases. Environmental factors are given consideration in procurement decisions for all contracts worth more than $10,000. Ministries must comply with the Ontarians with Disabilities Act 2001 and the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act 2005 and its standards when acquiring goods, services, and facilities. This is very important to note. Ontario government employees managing procurements and contracts are not allowed to receive a benefit of any kind, directly or indirectly from any vendor. Vendors must not have any conflict of interest that may give them an unfair advantage in bidding on government contracts. The Ontario government is committed to open, fair, and transparent procurement processes. Vendors bidding on Ontario government contracts may request, this is so first world, vendors bidding on Ontario government contracts may request debriefings to understand how their proposal was evaluated and to learn how to improve their future proposals. Now, that is to say, you made a bid to supply a service or a good to the government, to the state, and you were unsuccessful. You can request from the state body that you tender to for a debriefing and evaluation of the total bid. The John Smith won the bid over you, and these were the criteria that he beat you on, and this is what you should pay attention to in the future for your bidding. And again, I was explaining to the person who sent me this, because the person who sent me this link deals with public health in Canada. Now, I ended up in this politics, and a lot of us, because of how abysmal public health is in Trinidad. And if ever something needed undoing and redoing, it is public health in Trinidad.
Yes.
But I want to stick on that point. What he was demonstrating to me is how fair and
Yeah.
transparent the process must be. I was explaining to him. I said, when that first paragraph talks about competitive bidding, if we make that law in Trinidad and Tobago, because it was a law for a while, and what Trinidadians would do is that a government minister coming into office, the PNM win or the UNC win, they have a 5-year plan of what they're going to steal.
Right.
And their friends in business are the bad men that facilitate the stealing. You may be in the cloth business, you may be selling cloth downtown for 100 years, and all of a sudden you give the PNM $1 million election time, and you get a contract to build 10,000 houses. You've never built a house before in your life. You subcontract the house contract to somebody who actually can build houses. But 60% of the actual cost that the state is charged for the house is all markup. That you and the facilitator in government share.
Yeah.
That is corruption as we know it. How it got really interesting is when they got into office. Let's say you wanted to, you knew that under the UNC they were building box trains. We laughed at the amount of box trains that the UNC was building. We need to be laughing at the amount of walkovers the PNM is building, because walkovers is now the $100 million contract to make money. The eater food under this PNM is build a walkover somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they're not building simple walkovers. They're building 20, 30, 40, 50 million walkovers and up, which by itself doesn't make sense.
Doesn't.
But getting into it, governments get into office, and you as a financier, they've won the election. Now, usually most of these financiers for the past 30 years, after the NAR lost to the PNM, it was small money to bet on Manning. By then, the PNM was desperate. So they was taking anything. So it was small money. $100,000 could have considered you a serious financier at the rebuilding PNM that Manning had to build. And your party gets into power, and you sit with ministers, you take them to a sushi restaurant, or you take them to... And I'm saying these things because I've seen ministers of national security and ministers of communication sit with suppliers who supply security items to the ministry, having sushi in a sushi bar. And I'm saying to myself that these people don't understand that, just the appearance.
Parents, yeah.
Just the appearance of that.
That's
That this
misbehaving.
is what you do for a living. You supply goods and services to the fire department, and I am the Minister of National Security, and I have to procure that. We can't be seen together. Don't come in my house. Don't send gifts for my children. And we need to actually get there as a country. But what I was explaining to these guys, and I've heard these stories, that to provide a service, ministers tell their financiers, all right, so we're going to be looking at getting cable barriers on the highway, and we're going to get cat's eyes for the roads, and maybe lampposts. So get ready to bid on those 3 things. And when they tell you get ready to bid on those 3 things, you contact your accountant, and his job is to set up 2 shell companies. Preferably take 2 that are already on the shelf. They call those shelf companies that they set up years in advance. They're just
Correct.
dutifully paying their annual returns
Yes.
for a company that does nothing. And those other 2 companies are to send bids higher than yours. So the 3 companies that bid, you own all 3.
Right.
Right.
This has happened in Trinidad and Tobago on numerous occasions. And it's why the Progressive Empowerment Party says we will open and examine every single. You see, having Marlene McDonald arrested and charged for that small money to Calabar Foundation, it's $1 million.
Yeah.
It's $1 million. $1 million is not going to bankrupt Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
In the grand scheme of theft that has taken place in Trinidad and Tobago, Marlene McDonald must be the least among equals. She eating big, you could see. But, But I didn't mean it that way. But it's small in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And we never have open and transparent tendering. I mean, I keep asking about Michael Aboud and the Amalgamated Security Company and the Justice on Time contract. We have 50,000 security guards in this country. That means we have multiples of companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why aren't other companies being allowed to bid?
Yeah.
It's a simple contract.
Exactly.
It's some trucks. When Aboud got it, he had to get trucks. So if you get it, they have a 3-month lead time. Get your trucks in order if you win the bid. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Because at the time that the director of prisons, the secretary general, said this whole justice on time contract came like a thief in the night. We didn't know that they were outsourcing because we were transporting the prisoners. The prison service was outsourced,
Right.
was handling the transport of prisoners, and boom, we privatized.
Right.
Yeah? And if you were going to privatize, if this was a real country, every single security firm should have been able to bid publicly.
Yes.
Yes.
And any bid, any contract awarded above $1 million, publish the details
Right.
of the contract.
But Philip, you know what I want to say as you're mentioning the security. I've traveled a lot, and I have never seen the amount of security anywhere in this world. I mean, in the stores and everywhere you go, there's security.
Yes.
And I have never seen that. I've been to Europe. I've lived in the States. I've throughout the entire Caribbean. What they have done is they have created an opportunity for their financiers, because this is not a required global standard where you walk into every industry that you
And
see
see a security
you see
guard.
security. I've
Yeah.
never seen that. You don't walk into a Walmart in the States and see security.
Very
So
true.
they've created these billion-dollar, multi-million-dollar contracts because it's payback.
Yeah.
And we have to do what you and everything in Trinidad is basically let pass something to get something. That's our attitude here, and we govern that way. We live that way. We believe as citizens that for a driver's license we have to pass something.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
I mean, these
That is true.
normal
Absolutely right.
functionalities
Yeah.
of the entire world, we believe that for a driver's license, we have to pass something.
Yeah.
We believe for a car inspection, we have to pass something.
Or your passport or your ID.
Your
you have
ID
pass
to get
something under the
anything
table.
done, or
'Cause I've
else-
seen it happen. firsthand.
Exactly. But we as citizens are the problem. We are not, we support this corruption.
We do.
We support corruptive
And
behavior.
as you say that, right, I have a cousin, he's in the restaurant business, and he's telling me that his workers needed to get their heavy tea licenses, and he two of them to get their heavy tea licenses. And he's trying to explain to me that he's a victim.
Right.
That if he went through the system, it would take 3 months, and that is ridiculous, and I agree.
Right.
It shouldn't take 3 months.
Right.
But he said, so he paid the bribe because
Exactly,
he needed
that's
it.
what I was
But he
gonna say.
doesn't understand. He just facilitated the corruption
Yes.
that's destroying the country that forced
By
him.
doing it. Yeah.
Every dollar you put towards this corruption, it supports it.
But then again, as a system, is just such an inconvenience.
It's a deliberate
you,
income. It's a
yeah.
deliberate inconvenience, because you can't tell me you go to a government agency and all these managers, supervisors,
Yeah.
directors, they are not monitoring. They are not
Exactly.
managing. There's a situation, manage with consequence.
Yeah.
You are not performing. Why in the world where you go worldwide? I went to LA in May, and it literally took under 5 minutes to get my
Yes.
birth certificate. Literally. I just typed in
Yeah,
my
but that's a
name.
country where you have a legitimate expectation of service.
Right. But again,
In Trinidad, what is your expectation when you go into a public
Yeah,
office?
it's like it's gonna take
Well,
entire day.
and the
take a day off.
take
2 days
take
off.
2 days off, right? Because the
The first day off is
expectation,
to fight that argument.
Yes.
right, the expectation is nil here. We don't expect service. Therefore, that underhanding mining
I
thing
went
that
to
we
renew.
Yeah.
I went to
don't
renew my
expect
ID card.
service.
My ID card. The service was excellent. The camera and everything was right there, and it was ready to go. And I'm renewing my ID card, so all of the information is there. You've taken the new
Yeah.
picture. Come for the card in 14 days. PriceSmart could give me my card instantly.
That is a good point.
PriceSmart could give me my
That is
card
a good
instantly. Elections and Boundaries Commission needs 14
That's
days.
true.
How do we substantiate paying all these people to
Why would the
non-perform.
Elections and Boundaries Commission need
It's like
14
so
days
point.
to renew an ID card? They've gotten the old card.
Yeah.
All of the information is on the card. You can verify it on the system. Unless there is a red flag or a warning, the new picture of my sexy face, apply it to a new card with the information, and boom.
Yeah.
I asked the girl
That's
when she
Trinidad.
said, come back in 14 days. I thought she was joking
It's
because she
unbelievable.
recognized me.
Yes.
I thought she was joking. And I said, what about TT Post mailing it to me?
Yeah.
She said, no, we don't have that as a system. Listen, those are things that came into the real world and died and gone because now you could literally get it.
Instantly.
Instantly.
You could
And now
probably do
we're-
it drive-through.
Yeah.
Everything is online now. Who goes to any
Yeah.
But
office?
she had the
Who goes to
equipment.
any
She had the
office?
equipment to come and sit me down and take the picture, which was to be the long. That was the thing that took the most amount of time.
Yeah.
Go and take a picture and bring it back. You go to the passport office and they send you for pictures to come back. Why you don't have,
The
I mean, the
pictures.
Progressive Empowerment Party has a recording studio for ads that is literally a microphone on a pole with a voice microphone and
Sound buffer.
and a sound buffer. And that's what the world uses. That you could go in the passport office and they could have a passport booth that is already the color behind you that they need it to be until you sit, smile, because they do it in movie town for $1. You can get 3 pictures.
Yes.
So why the passport office can't do that? Why must I go across the road into the pharmacy and spend $20 for a picture that you need digitally anyway? You don't actually need an actual passport picture if you're transferring the data digitally to the passport.
Philip, I always say we practice deliberate
I
incompetency
love that
in
saying
this
from the first
country
incident.
because, again, it's a payback here. So if I don't do my job
Exactly.
properly, Tony gets a cut. And that's how we
Nip
operate
Deck was
But it
given-
has
in
to
this
be
country.
more than that though, because it's almost as if they're afraid to come into this new era.
NIPDEC was given the responsibility to replace Petrotrin security. Now,
Yes.
when the Keith Rowley government did whatever the madness that he and SPNA did at Petrotrin, it was functional. It wasn't on fire. They weren't looting it. You weren't getting reports of people leaving with equipment and a whole hospital worth of equipment like we're getting now.
Yeah.
So that meant that the security was working. The security was functional. Look, Stefan Rees on Breaking Dawn. His assistant now, who's take notes for him, Redos,
Right.
Osuno. He was a security guard in Petrotrin. Open the gate and close the gate. Good morning, sir. Sit down in the booth and write things down in the station diary. They were doing the job. You could interview him and ask him. Petrotrin had a security company
Yes.
doing the actual job. How come that security arrangement, if you could have broken Petrotrin into 3 entities, Barrier Fuels,
Yes.
Heritage, and
Heritage.
something else, why not 4? Why not?
Include the security
Why not
firm as an-
Energy Security
Yeah.
Limited?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not meet with the management? Because you had to have a hierarchy in that security company. You had to have corporals, privates, corporals, sergeants, lieutenants, inspectors, whatever, right? You had to have something.
Right.
Why not meet with them and get a working plan? What is the operational budget for this security firm that right now properly secures Petrotrin
Yes.
so that you transition to them?
But
You
why
tell-
are they even?
Mr. Inspector was answering to somebody.
Right.
Change the answering person. That's all the change.
Exactly.
The process,
It's the same.
the facilities,
Yeah.
the baton, the station diary, the pen, all of that remained the same thing. Why was that transferred to Amalgamated Security? Where was the public tender? If you were going to fire all of the Petrotrin workers, why did National Insurance Property Development Company, who is magically in the security guard service awarding business, why did they sole select Amalgamated Security and the Abood family and not put it out to public tender?
Good question.
Why was that not done? There was a place in Trinidad called the Aranguez Mall. You knew about that?
Yes,
There's a
that's,
mall.
that's where the MTS Plaza
It's
is
now
at now.
MTS
Yeah.
Plaza. You know what MTS Plaza is? MTS is Maintenance Training Security. Trinidad actually owns a security firm. Outside the Army, outside the Coast Guard, outside the Police Service, we own a security firm.
Right.
called MTS.
Yeah.
50,000 guards operating in MTS Mall. Why weren't they, or are they manifestly incompetent? What is the difference? And I want to say this because I want to drill down to this. There has to be, at some point, an accounting, not just at the minister level. I want the accounting to reach the Chamber of Commerce,
Yes.
where the bagmen and the corruption is taking place. I want the national insurance property, and I have a right as a citizen of this republic, like Canadians, like Americans, like Britons, could ask a question, what the hell you doing with my money?
Yeah.
It's my money. It's not Rowley's money. It's not the Syrian cabal money.
Correct.
It's not friends and finances of the government money. It is my money.
But
It is
Philip,
pe-
I think what you've hit a core there. The citizens of this country don't realize it's their money because we justify corruption. We are now in the streets, and you hear people saying, "Who thief more? Who
Right.
thief less?"
You know why?
Therefore,
But
it is
Michelle,
not
Michelle,
resignated
would you
that
come out?
it's
Would you
our
come
money.
outside your house and see Tientek and Wassa fighting in the road and pick a side? If the Tientek man and the Wassa man fighting, would you say, "I back in Wassa, I'll take water, keep my current"?
That's
That's
a
what
good
we're doing with
point.
PNM and UNC.
Yes.
That's what we're doing with the foolishness of PNM and UNC, because we're saying, you know what? I'll cut
Yes.
off my nose and keep my face. Keep that. We don't understand that both of those jackass farms are there to serve the people, and until the people get that,
Exactly.
until the people get that Marlene is not their bandit,
Yeah.
that Ish and Steve are not the property of UNC, because unless, as a UNC card carrying member, you get a cut, or unless Carew in the Calabar Foundation, when they were pocketing that $1 million, you as a Balize card carrier get your 50 cents. Why are you defending it?
We defend it because it's
But
all
why?
we know.
Yeah, but we honestly think that when we vote out government from an office, that's us actually, like, winning.
To put the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
Because
No,
we
I mean,
know
when you
the
vote,
other
That's not
party-
what she meant.
Yeah,
That's not
I
even what
meant.
she meant. What they win is the axe handle analogy about we choose who to abuse us. That's what we do. We settle for who we think we belong to.
At this point, do we know who we belong to? And you have to dig deeper into this corruption. It is one characteristic, living in this country for 11 years, is the level of greed. The level of greed. You talk about the security contracts. 1 is not enough. 10 is not enough. I need 20. Before, as you said, it was $100,000.
Because a lot
But
of
you
these
go
people
through the
wouldn't spring
history.
for the penis extension surgery. So they need a lot of money and a bigger car every time. Because if they would spring for the penis extension surgery, they wouldn't need people to think, oh, he's rich. Maybe he's nice in bed. I can't think of any other reason for some of these fools.
Sips tea.
I went to Anthony Sapga's funeral, and every accolade that he worked till he died was a sad indictment of a life. Every dollar beyond need is greed. If you make it in life, if all that's left to you is to work and gather more, to give some instructions to workers in a hall who only respecting you because you control their salary,
Exactly, yeah.
they don't love you. I mean, the tent was empty. I sat in a tent on a chair. They put up tents all out in the street. They expected crowds that didn't come. Because you're dead and you're gone. You no longer control my life. Next man.
Yeah.
And if all that you've left for yourself, I'm telling my nephew today, I say, listen, I'm on the last project now. After this, I retire. I want to go and see stuff. If I don't win an election, I'm happy, Because I have a list of places I want to go and see, things I want to touch. And go what? Puma Punku, Tiawanaka. I want to go all around the world and see the Sphinx and the pyramids. And I want to do that before I'm too old and they have to drag me around. Some of these guys like Pandey saying he's gonna dead with his boots on. That is foolishness.
Yes,
Utter
it
madness.
is.
That is a level of self-deluding insanity.
Yes.
Why aren't you looking to be happy and maximize your potential, if you're hoarding newspapers, or you're hoarding cardboard boxes, or you're hoarding empty bottles and cans, people laugh at you. But if you're hoarding money, but that's what it is. You're just a hoarder. Not enough is enough. You that itch, you can't stop. It can't stop scratching you.
It's like cocaine, because think about it. Every political party in the history of Trinidad has been associated with some type of corruption.
Yes.
I mean, that alone speaks volumes. We are known for corruption. I mean, I remember I was a young girl, and I remember hearing that one of the Eric Williams' daughter offered to bail Trinidad out with some money, and my first thought was, where did the Prime Minister's daughter get the
this
money?
kind of money,
Where
yeah.
did she get
But
the
you're
money?
damn fast and out of place.
Where did she get?
That's
and then
how,
it continued.
that's how the courts in Trinidad and Tobago think it means. Trinidad and Tobago court system thinks
Right.
you damn fast and out of place
Yeah.
to ask how you come
yeah.
from
Nothing.
and all of a sudden you could bail out a country. How you come from a 2x4 little company overnight. You're a multi-millionaire. If I ask questions, you could take me to court for defamation. This is an insane upside down Trinidad and Tobago.
And then again, you talk about the court system. Talk about, okay, so you hear that story, but then the court system has failed us over and over again. It's like you see it right now with the Marlene McDonald situation. It's all over Facebook. People are saying, oh, this is just a puppy show. So no, everyone has no faith in the system. You have 10, 20, 15 years, 30 years for a man to be trialed and brought to justice.
No, but Kamala
that's-
Prasad says showed the disingenuity of these politicians. She showed the rank hypocrisy. When Alan Karim and the other people who were working for Alan Ramlogan and Rudal Munila running kick out the PNM and other pages that attacking Marlene McDonald for a decade with Calabar Foundation. When Marlene McDonald stood up in the parliament and attacked Anil with room 201, that's police information. She had police security information that she knew about before anybody else. And how did that happen? When UNC people was attacking Marlene for Calabar Foundation and for Carew, Kamala is demonstrating now with her crocodile tears, due process. Miss me with the bullshit.
Exactly.
If you had your people, because in the Progressive Empowerment Party, I know who our teams are. And if our teams are putting out information that we don't agree with,
Yes. Yeah.
we will pull the information.
Correct.
We will distance ourselves. We5 people from this party.
Well, today PNM has released a statement indicating thanking Marlene McDonald for the service. Now, okay,
What
but
service? Service of
what
corruption.
service?
Right.
This woman has been accused of corruption, and as
Exactly.
someone put it so eloquently, it's like spitting in the face to the public. You are releasing a statement thanking this woman for levels of service when she is being
Exactly.
A woman who has been fired umpteen times. All right, a woman who has information in the public space that is very much questionable.
We in this plantation, when Massa beaten we, we tell Massa, oh God, Massa, put your back in it now, man. Yeah, really hitting me, you know. Hit me harder now. Come from here. Because that's how we think.
But what don't we get about this corruption case? Since I've been in Trinidad, this Marlene McDonald
Yeah, but I don't want to
investigation
stick
has
on.
been
Yeah, but I
going
don't want to
on.
stick on.
So
that.
it's years of a bad trail.
No, but we spent. Marlene McDonald is $1 million. We spent $150 million prosecuting Ish and Steve for $1 billion. Ish and Steve still walking around free.
In Miami, living in high rise, I hear.
Oh yes, oh yes, sipping champagne
Sipping
and flying
champagne
private
and
jets.
living
No,
Yeah.
but you see, all of them, Brian Quaiton, his girlfriend at the time, Renee Pierre, all of them, who has been in the public space and have been named. Gutierrez and the other people in Miami who pled guilty went to jail for their involvement in the Piaco fiasco.
Yes.
And our people allow Ish and Steve and the airport 12, 13, 15, there are 3 different bands. That was the first time in the country 2 companies were charged. They charged Northern Construction and they charged Maritime Insurance for corruption. For corrupting
Philip,
rich men.
there's
How
no
could we
end
spend-
result.
No, but you see,
Exactly.
if you're going to spend time, focus on Marlene and her $1 million right now, I want to cast
Miss
your mind
everything
back
else.
to Ish and Steve.
But of
Because
course.
if the Director of Public Prosecution's Office could spend $150 million, That's not just the only money spent, you know. We've spent money trying to extradite them to the States.
Yeah.
We spent money writing Section 34 to free them. Because that whole law, the whole farce and the whole ruse that the UNC brought to the parliament, there are little black boys suffering in the jail.
Right.
When Volney and Prakash and Anand was feeding that bullshit to the nation, nobody knew that Section 34 was Indictable Offences Act. That bill, that there was section of it, Section 34 of it, was being fine-tuned to free financiers from answering for the allegations of corruption that took place on their watch.
But what did the public do? We accepted it. There was no outcry. The clico, it's over and over
What do you
again.
expect people
The
to do?
Patrick
What do you
Manning,
expect people to
the
do?
church.
Burn themselves?
What was that
What do you
happening?
do? Light themselves on fire? What do you expect people
Exactly.
to
To
do?
start,
If you can't get the actual systems of government to work, what are you going to do?
That's what we were
You're going to
talking
take
about.
time off of the sufferation that is living in Trinidad and Tobago, where you catching your tail to make ends meet, and take time off so your boss fire you or he pay you, and go and stand up and protest for what? For the rest of Trinidadians to pass and laugh at you? This country, this plantation, the slaves on this plantation, they like slavery. They like massa whip. They happy looking through the window from in the field with mud between their toes, watching Massa and his family eat well. Oh gosh, you see Massa get a new Porsche Cayenne. You ain't proud of Massa? We Massa nice, eh? That's us. When we defend Ish, when we defend Steve, when we defend Marlene, my bandit better than yours is the madness of Trinidad and Tobago.
you are sure right.
But think about it in this way, like, yes, we understand that corruption is happening, and then we go and we shout, Raleigh must go, and then we vote for somebody else who is in corruption. So we think, that's what I'm
You
trying to
cannot
say.
separate PNM from UNC.
Exactly, that's my point. We think that when we vote out PNM, we win and we overthrow Massa, but we didn't. So we carried on this protest. Raleigh must go and
No, we
whatever,
overthrow the
whatever,
overseer.
whatever.
Massa is not PNM or UNC, you know. Massa is the contract mafia that operates the PNM and the UNC. We overthrow the overseer. We overthrow the man who does whip we. He said, you can't whip we. He
Exactly.
could.
But when will
But the
the
whipping will
voters?
continue.
When will the voters realize? I mean, a blind man could see
Well,
that
Yes.
PNM and UNC are not
I used to
operating
think,
from the
I used to
standpoint
think,
of the
I
citizen.
used to think when the wolf reached their door. But not
But
even
no.
that.
Yeah,
I watch
no.
a woman in Caroline.
Yeah, I remember that.
I watch a woman screaming her navel string out. Oh God, justice. They killed my child. Justice! Rowley, we voted for you. Justice!
Yeah.
You're cussing the fruit, but you're worshipping the evil fruit, the tree,
The tree,
that's
yeah.
bearing the fruit.
I
mean,
like that.
and listener, I have seen in my lifetime this country go from a place where you could suffer and survive, where things hard but you could be happy, to a place where if you go to run around the savannah too late, you take an unnecessary risk. And if something happened to you, people say, you damn well look for that. You know
Yes,
it is.
exactly.
We have accepted
We have accepted it.
Yeah.
that our country is a criminal place.
Yeah.
That you are in danger. Get
Like
your
flooding.
ass home.
But for
Like when
example,
it floods and everybody
uh,
says, well, we litter, so...
a perfect example is just simply to show with, for example, Imbert having to raise taxes and gas, for example, 3-4 times. He never mentioned that on the podium when they were
Yes.
trying to get into office.
Right.
No one within their meetings for the period of time that they were trying to broker to get into the parliament, they said, vote for me and I will ensure I can raise gas on you 4 times, and everybody ball, yay,
Yeah.
great is the
They
PNM.
would have.
Yes.
They would have. They would have. And I tell you, they would have. The people who voted for the PNM would have. You think they wouldn't have. But I listened to clips. And I sat in 104.7 and they played a clip of Keith Rowley saying to a crowd of people, everybody talking diversification.
Yeah.
Like diversification is something easy. You can't diversify this country just so. You can't diversify. And they
Yes.
cheering. And I'm thinking, This is a bizarre world.
Yeah.
I watched Stuart Young tell Kijan Haynes on TV6, everybody talking security borders. You can't secure the borders. And I said to myself, but this is a madness.
Yeah, boy.
I look at Trinidad and Tobago, I look at the map, I see Cuba. I know that for 60 years, the
Yes.
United States of America,
Has blocked you.
you couldn't squeeze a fart out of Cuba. Man. You literally couldn't.
Literally.
Very true.
They stopped in time. Their fridges, their electronics, their TVs, their cars,
Yes.
their clothes. 1960s. It was like traveling back in time. Go to Cuba because nothing out, nothing in, nothing.
Not
In-
even parts, nothing, literally nothing. They had to bring cars back to life out of God knows what.
Brother, Cuba reinvented an agriculture process that is at the pinnacle of processes because they couldn't get access to the chemicals and the equipment the rest of the world was using. Cuba had to invent healthcare, eye surgery, eye care, the best in the world.
Somebody
Best in the world.
Best in the world.
Yeah.
You in the eye industry, so
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
heart, best in the world. Because they had to start from the 60s, wherever that was, and build their own from there. So when you get in an accident in your 1960 Chevy, and you go to your mechanic, he had to pull out a sheet of metal and hammer out a new fender for you.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't go in the parts store and buy a fender.
You're absolutely
But
correct.
Stuart Young told this media operative, who should know better, should say,
But there's
You
this dumb
sure?
grin on his face.
you sure we
Yeah.
can secure it? That in 1946,
Yes.
when they closed Berlin, when the Russians closed Berlin, nothing could come in, nothing could go out. The world had to engage in something called the Berlin airlift. You ever heard of that? Every hour on the hour, a plane landed and took off in Berlin, just keeping the city supplied. Because they didn't build the wall yet. They just shut it to the world. And they secured it, all of its borders. An entire city, bigger than Trinidad, and that's in the 40s.
Yeah.
That's in the 40s.
We're in 2019.
But your Minister of National Security is able to go and tell a journalist, and I am so upset, because at some point, if we don't get something different to the PNM and the UNC in that parliament, get out of Trinidad. Even Paulo Kernahan said it today, and I shared the quote. Even Paulo Kernahan said today, there is no point living in Trinidad if nothing works and you can't enjoy. If nothing works but you tolerate it because of the scenery and you're living in a tropical island, you can go to the beach and you can go hiking, but you can't do those things either. What's the point?
Well, the fact is, we're saying nothing works. Things are digressing. It's actually getting worse.
Yeah.
I mean, so when maybe a few years ago, we were saying nothing works, but now it is digressing. The country is literally on autopilot, as though you're riding, you're in your car, and the roads are past deplorable.
Right.
It is evident not a cent is being
No
sent on the
sidewalks.
citizens.
I
they're
mean,
spending,
you go
they're
to
spending
the,
the money, but
it's
no
like a
result.
thing of
sidewalks,
like,
the
what is a
groceries.
sidewalk?
What is the sidewalk? Like, oh, I don't deserve
Yeah.
that. You go in the grocery. I mean, you
I
look
showed
at the
somebody
grocery
today
prices.
driving out of Santa Cruz, reaching Highland Park. The moment you stop being in Santa Cruz and you are in Highland Park, that line in the ground,
Yes.
there are white lines, the pavements are proper, the place is clean.
Yeah.
And you run out of Highland Park and you're back into
Law,
PNM constituency,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Well, in South, as soon as you pass the Urapooch Junction, it's pure deterioration. I had an article, and that article got the most views because everyone said you hit
Yes,
it.
I saw it, yes.
You know, the
So
minute you
good.
pass that Urapooch Junction, It is past deplorable. And we as citizens continue to accept it as though it's nothing.
It's going-
What we go do, what we
Michelle,
go do.
if we don't get something different in that parliament, because to the people who think that this is about PNM and UNC, it is not, you know. It's about the unseen hand of the contract mafia, who Manning called Mr. Big, who Basdio Pandey called the parasitic oligarchy. It is the same people that have been operating this country through those two parties for as long as we've been independent, who've been plundering this country. You cannot tell me that our people are incapable of understanding that the nation of which they are a part has first world money, but they living in third world poverty.
Yes.
You can't,
Well said.
you can't tell me that they can't understand that, Michelle, because if they can't understand that, and they are the ones that have the vote, and they are the ones who are going to continue voting themselves in mediocrity, give up the ghost, sell everything, take what you can get out.
But as Akila and I were saying about the whole race politics
Yeah.
and the religious association and the race, we find so many excuses of why we don't deserve better in this country. That, you know, your hair not straight enough, you're this, I'm voting for this party, you know, religion-wise. Why do we use excuses to justify this corrupted behavior? Because, you know, you read those procurement policies, but I want to tell you from personal experience, a lot of things are in writing in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'll give you an example. And you had mentioned this one of your very first videos. In the Municipal Act of Trinidad and Tobago, it has clear boundaries of how something should be built. Am I not correct?
Correct.
It has from the, you know, how much from the street and so forth. And I learned this the hard way. I learned this the hard way because my neighbor built a hardware on a residential lot. And I looked into I had to tell the corporation what the laws of Trinidad and Tobago was. It wasn't that there was no laws, but
They
what?
didn't know.
But they
It's not
didn't
that
know.
they-
And then on top of it, when I pointed it out, corrupted behavior took place. Right? Who pay off who thing this, where this woman come from with her American ways. It was all in black and white. So money start to pass. The police himself looked at me and said, "Miss, you will never get through money passing." So it's not that the laws are not, it's not these policies are not in writing. They are. But we as a country adhere to nothing. We adhere to nothing in writing. We do not follow rules. We are lawless by nature.
But like Akila had said earlier on, we have generations that basically is born into the system. They don't know anything other than this way of life, having acceptance towards the level of corruption taking place and misbehavior, as far as, like we said before, paying for your license or your passport or what the case might be under the table, because the system has been, like Philip has said many, many times over and over, it's specifically designed that way to frustrate the population. So we have no other choice, and to make it the status quo, and this is just the norms of the day, let's pay the money under the table, get everything in order, and we could move on and do what we have to do.
No. Be righteous and don't pay the bribe for the water. Be righteous and suck dry air.
Yeah.
You have a country where from the top down, we have to purge the entirety of the public sector.
Yes.
If you vote the Progressive Empowerment Party into office, our first few weeks will be firing.
Yes,
It'll
just-
be bitching and moaning and high-level, big-ticket blue lights driving. People who thought themselves entitled to the cream of the crop and the cherry on top. They'll be cussing and bitching, and Guardian and Express be writing their nonsense, and I'll be ignoring it all. Because we have to pull all them Zandoli from the hole and get them out. You cannot pretend that a company can import fireworks into a country and set up roadside tents selling fireworks in a country where that is illegal. Just, I ain't reached the discharging of the fireworks yet. Just the selling it on the side of the road in those tents is
It's
illegal.
illegal, yeah.
And that the fire services, the chief fire officer, allowed them to get away for years with a bond that wasn't properly inspected and approved to hold incendiary and explosive devices. Understand this, sir?
Yes.
Understand? You could kill people. The gunpowder in some of these things, you just need to buy enough of them and concentrate it, and it's a bomb.
Yeah.
Plain talk.
Very true.
Plain talk. And it is a tightly controlled substance, except Trinidad and Tobago. That in Trinidad and Tobago, any Tom, Dick, and Harry
Yes.
could have that much firepower. I think that's the name of one of the companies.
Yeah.
Without a license,
Yeah.
without oversight, where the people who are responsible for oversight, the controller of customs and the chief fire officer, allowing it to pass. And then the then commissioner of police, but I have Gary Griffith in office now. And Gary know I will go by each one of those tents and put Gary on the spot. When Stephen Williams was in his heyday acting as commissioner of police, we had raised the issue to the point because dogs was getting killed
Yes.
for all of Christmas, 6 and 7 nights of mayhem. Now there are people outside there watching the video want to cuss me because what's wrong with this man? We should be able to blow shit up. No. They wouldn't feel the same way if they go home and they find out their mother, their father, their children blow up. But we kind of walking around with our brains on stun. I have to ignore those people and speak to the rest and hope that the vast majority of people of Trinidad and Tobago are intelligent enough to understand what a better nation looks like.
How can we not know what a better nation looks like? We all have a phone. We all have access to internet. We all have access to information. And it goes down to from the education in Trinidad. We're so outdated. So hence the reason we continue generation after generation not being politically savvy, not being politically educated to know that we deserve
So let's
better.
talk what
Yeah.
better.
Nail on the head.
So let's talk
Right.
what better might look like. Let's talk what better might look like. Because under Patrick Manning, somebody came up with the idea of saying, listen, we're not getting enough opportunity to steal money. So on each ministry that we siphon money through, let's create something called a special purpose company, where the Minister of Finance, who is the first line in our theft, channels money to these special purpose companies. Brian Quaitong, Wendell Motley, Hawaii, Imbert, all of them know that the special purpose companies have one job: to facilitate the awarding of contracts without scrutiny. You could soul select to your heart's desire now because you've created UDCOT and HDC and EFCL and EMBD. If you want to jail people in Trinidad and Tobago, just audit those companies. Just audit Sport.
But
TT.
those same companies
Just
are the
audit them.
companies that is the vehicle for the
To
level of
audit.
hemorrhaging
And I'm
taking
saying to
place.
Trinidad and Tobago, step one, shut all those companies down. We're going to audit them.
Right.
We're going to find where all of the money has gone since 2002, but shut them down. Create a robust and transparent tenders company in Trinidad and Tobago. Not NIPDEC. That is national insurance money, and it should not be used for disco dancing in Siam and Tamnata and Sarah.
Yeah.
That's not what it's for. You're not taking that money from poor people paycheck $2.60 to give rich people to dance around the savannah. That is the madness of this wild and crazy place. A transparent tenders board where the minister, this is critical to the point, where the minister does not award the contract, where it goes to a tenders board that rotates members of a tenders panel like you are supposed to rotate judges for cases. So you don't know if you are the Minister of National Security and you want to get fire engines. You say, I need 20 fire engines. These are the specifications of what we want these fire engines to do. And you send that to the tenders board. The tenders board puts out local, regional, and international for the supply of these fire engines to these specifications with a criteria. So the specifications is important. That's job one.
Right.
Price is important, job two. Service and parts and availability
Correct.
of
Maintenance
technicians,
and
job
that type
three.
of thing.
You buy an elevator. If you buy an elevator from the cheapest supplier, that's cool. But if you get stuck in the elevator and then you find out that they don't have 24-hour service for people stuck in an elevator, you'll understand why sometimes the cheapest is not the best way to go.
Right.
So there's a cost to a proper business. And the tenders board should be guided that by the Ministry of National Security these are the critical areas that you need to look for.
Right.
Right? And when they put out the tender with the broad spectrum of what we need, everybody could tender openly in the process. And all of those tenders should be opened publicly.
But you just hit it on the nail. Everybody.
Yeah.
We are not operating from an everybody standpoint in Trinidad. Hence the reason everything is blocked.
No, now it's $2,500 to get the
Right.
tenders document.
We're not
all of a sudden we're
operating
blocking the average small person. I know that bullshit. I see it from a mile away.
Right.
But I'm saying to you that the tenders panel that has been empaneled, 3 former judges, public servants, whatever, people with the criteria, technocrats, whatever, you decide who is going to be on this rotating panel, and they get now to sit and adjudicate on all of these bids. That this guy says he hit all the right notes, but his fire engines don't have ladders. Cross them off, because we need ladders.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to tell you, right? Or everything is perfect, but his fire engines are left-hand drive, and that's not going to be practical on our roads. Whatever, they go through and they get a short list, 5. 5 companies, local, regional, international, that could supply fire engines. Get back in touch with the Ministry of National Security, not the minister, the ministry. There must be somebody in the Ministry of National Security, the chief fire officer, for example, who has a better understanding than this overnight appointee that we are using as ministers in Trinidad and Tobago, which is another issue that has to be addressed. How we appoint and ratify who is appointed as CEOs of these critical areas that operate this country. A whole other conversation. But they could summon, the panel could summon the ministry and say, we have these 5. And if the fire services cannot make a decision on this, they could say, we need more information on this and on this and on this from these 3 suppliers. And they could have technocrats sent to Trinidad to answer those questions, to get the right fit, the best fit. Because like our PTSC, every time we get a new government, they find a new bus supplier. And when you buy a supply of buses, because people know we get 10 buses, or we get 20 buses, but the big money is all the spare parts that you buy for the buses. And if you cancel this supplier, you have to throw away all those parts. And when you buy a new supplier, is our next multi-million-dollar award for spare parts. And that is the service contracts. And that's why the Canadian government was so clear to separate and outline that. Because service contracts is the easiest way to steal money.
Exactly. And you mentioned something that really touched on me with regards to the change of government. I do a lot of training throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and every agency I go to, every company says the minute government changes, the system changes. So the minute they start to go 10 steps forward that they think, they go 20 steps backward because a new government comes in and totally reverses the process. Why is politics involved in efficiency in our country? Why is the PTSC every 5 years have to go through this change?
As I write it down, you said it. It's politics versus government. After the election is done and the votes are counted, you may be PNM or UNC or PEP or NJAC or whoever. But once you've won, you're no longer the government of your supporters. You're the government of the country.
Correct.
It's not supposed to be politics after that. It's supposed to be how do we best serve the country.
Do you know the management in these agencies and these ministries are changed once a new government takes place? So the continuity of the efficiency, and again, it goes back to the citizen is the only one suffering in this country. So you whoever come into power, boom, you as the citizen expecting, okay, government change, so I might not get through. Why does it have to be that way? Where does this politics come into service? Where does it come into that the citizens of this country continue to suffer and continue to be the victims of this corruption and greed that continues to just destroy the country? We are being destroyed.
Because they successfully convinced black and Indian people in this country that all they are is their race. That they're not Trinbagonians. That they Afro-Trinbagonians or the Indo-Trinbagonians first. And that as long as the other side doesn't have power over them, they win.
But Philip, as I said in Chaguanas, the pothole knows no difference.
Yes.
We all are experiencing the same issue. When you when
bullet don't know any difference.
it doesn't know anything. When when you risking a life driving up the road anywhere. I was coming here 1 o'clock and a murder in Marival, broad daylight, and I was just in Marival last week, the whole week staying there. So the crime, the greed doesn't know your political association. We need to start thinking from one. It is no when you if you vote PNM, you're not subject to pothole, you're not subject to the bad health care. Of course you are.
Yeah.
We all are experiencing the same thing. We have to stop that racial.
But
Partying.
Tony alluded to something you said just now, because a little while ago you said we were lawless by nature, and I wrote it down. And then Tony was speaking about what I guess we would consider nurture, which is the difference between who we fundamentally are and who we brought up to be. And I was thinking that is a question that we need to answer. Is the average Trinbagonian who leaves Trinidad and goes to the real world and becomes a fully functioning citizen, contributes at a high level, succeeds, does well, has a family, buys a home, raise the kids, get them educated, the Trinidadian, Trinbagonian, that escape the clutches of the mind melt that is this country, that turns you into a tribe embracing everybody else, rejecting corruption, explaining, accepting. Is that the case? I don't think that we're lawless by nature, because you bounce up Trinis in America and they doesn't,
Agreed.
they
Agreed.
doesn't line up.
Agreed. But
You're seeing Trini
agreed.
in KFC in Miami. Oh,
Right.
You're not seeing that.
Agreed. But again,
But why?
Why
Why
would
when
we get
they
off a
come
plane?
home?
Why would we get on a
Coming
plane?
home allows it. It
Legitimate-
allows them to do
We-
that.
Because
It's
there is
okay.
a
Exactly.
legitimate expectation that you've arrived at a mad and crazy
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, no consequence.
Drive what you want.
When you drive
Exactly.
overspeed the limit, zoom in the
Yeah.
States, you know you're getting a ticket. When you demonstrate lawless behavior, those same Trinidadians will come off that plane and they switch complete
Yes.
person.
Yes.
But the minute they land in Piarco, is hey, oi, and it's
Listen.
cussing, and it's all kind of thing, and you're thinking, but
They
you
can't
would
wait-
never do that.
they
You
can't
would
wait
never
to
do that.
fling that cup out the window. Oh, God, we home.
No, but that is real,
That
Philip.
is real.
I
That
came
is an
to Trinidad
expression.
on vacation with a friend of mine from Trinidad as well. Man, living up there just a little bit shorter time than I was there. Came down on the plane. No, I mean, went into I think it's Royal Castle. That's in the airport.
Right.
Jump in the car, family car. God for I miss this pepper sauce. Oh, all well and good. Food done. Bones start flying out the car. So I stop. I say, hey, what you doing? What is you really doing? He said, what you mean not doing that, dog? Go get the bone. I say, but brethren, you wouldn't have done
like
that if when we was in New York. What it is was the catalyst for you.
Because when Giuliani became mayor of New York, when he took over,
That was a dread time,
they still talk about it. He had to, and this is why when I hear people cussing Gary Griffith, I just ignore them, because Gary trained with these people. And I met when we brought Bill Bratton to Trinidad. I met with Bill Bratton, and the man is a legend. You have to understand, New York City was the murder capital of the world. You could have died easily and stupidly in New York City for decades. The mafia had it under control. The Italian mafia, there was the what would they call it? The Japanese that they were growing their I'm trying to remember the name, but they a name like Asuka or something like that. They had,
that's the
they had their own gang culture
Yes.
and different gangs.
Chinese too. They have
But they were coming from different parts of the world, and they were establishing roots. And Giuliani, when he took office, now he was a public prosecutor before, and he had successfully prosecuted members of the mob, and he understood how the mob worked, and they enforced broken windows. And we will never understand in this land what Gary is trying to do because it's unfamiliar to Trinidadians. You see how people, I just want to tell you this, you see how people want to defend and claim Marlene? Is because we don't understand that one bad apple could spoil everything. We don't get it. And broken windows enforce the law.
You just said the key word enforcement.
But
there is no enforcement.
that's what
in
Gary's trying to
Trinidad.
do.
And I agree with that. I am totally for him. But what again?
But we need to
one
go beyond
man,
that.
Yeah.
one man
Exactly.
cannot do that.
Exactly.
As a country, we need to recognize there are consequences, and we have no
Michelle,
consequence.
if-
It's
if
lawless,
Trinidad
Philip.
sees-
It's lawless.
If Trinidad sees the effect of one public office holder willing to do the job properly, imagine this country with a government
Yes.
that wanted to do everything right.
Yes.
That the chief executive officer of Port of Spain General Hospital should have been fired when Christopher Philip died on the lawn of the hospital. He didn't put him there. Oh, you think he put him there? That's the answer you get, you know. He wasn't there. He was not. That's not the point. The buck stops with you. You're in charge. And when we get that concept down tight, when things go wrong in the school, the buck stops with the Minister of Education, Social Development and Management, National Security, Finance. These things, the day we get a government that is that many functional people,
And accountable. Accountable is the key word in Trinidad. We have no accountability in this country. We hold no one accountable. We accept defiant behavior. There is a consequence to unruly behavior. There is a consequence to negative
We reward
behavior.
it here.
And we reward it here.
We reward
And
it
I mean,
here.
everyone's taking this, you know, it is $1 million, but as you said, it's a start and an example to show this is $1 million, but we literally have billions stolen from this
you hear
country.
the conspiracy theorists talking about why they think Marlene was arrested. Something else coming. Of course something else coming. Accountability is coming. If you are in public office and you break the law, you should be charged. End of sketch.
Exactly.
But before Marlene's arrest was the conversation, we was talking about securing the borders and email gate.
Before that,
So
we
now
were
we
talking
took
about
all the
no, but
rights.
no. You see, we getting there is by they're dragging us to a place where we understand that there is that, as Michelle said, there are consequences to bad action. The Prime Minister needs to be investigated
Exactly.
for treason.
And now
for
we're just
email
focusing
gates.
on
But
Marlene
we
as if it's
can't
like, oh my
stop.
gosh.
And the elections coming. The elections coming is going to be where the people are going to decide, are you willing to vote for somebody who is willing to hijack the parliament and write law to free financiers like Section 34 with the UNC? Or are you willing to hire a government that's willing to hijack the parliament with a fabrication and try to overthrow a government with a lie, deception and trick? Those are your choices. People who have hijacked the sanctity of the parliament, the PNM and the UNC. And there'll be people who would find a way to justify even that. Even that.
A sad state of affairs when you're just justifying
stressful to
the
talk about.
yes. I mean, and as you said, you know, you're right. But isn't that saying that we only have a 7 to 9 day attention span? You know what I mean? That we forget in 7 to 9 days. I've heard that several times.
Yeah,
We
education.
literally we forget. So
forget.
we done forget
Because
about
apparently
email. Now
the-
we're
the-
That's your
feeling sorry
contribution.
for.
That's your contribution. PNM education.
But it's true. I mean, we know the fact that before that this insertion of this so-called PNM education, we had the highest rating ranking education in the
We
world.
did.
You know
Wow,
what I
I
mean?
didn't know that.
Yes.
In the Western world.
Up to the 70s, Trinidad's standard of education, if you left here in Form 1 and you or Form 2 and you went to the States or Canada, they'd put you in the equivalent of Form 5.
Yeah.
we were so far ahead
were
of everybody
advanced.
else.
We were advanced.
You finished high
No,
school
they're
here. You had
No,
2
you're lucky
years
this time
of
school.
university, right?
No,
you're
but
you're
it's-
graduating without reading properly, Philip.
No,
what are you
but
talking? You people are
Functional
graduating
illiterates.
But
functional
you talk about
illiterates.
that. Look at we talk about the education minister. The man come on in the public space to talk
Yes.
about almost 7,000 of our children failing the
Yes,
system.
yes,
But this
yes.
man still sit down inside his office. He still has a job.
Exactly.
There's nobody to ask the question. So, Minister, what is the reasoning why? Why would you,
Because,
Yeah.
and I said earlier, you need to ratify people, you need to vet them. This is our Minister of Education, and he should come before a joint select parliament or the entirety of the parliament and account for what he is about to do. That over the next 5 years, because that's what you have to take for granted that you have, 5 years. So short term is 1 year, medium term is 2 years, long term 5 years. Over the next 5 years, we plan to move education from here to here.
Yeah.
So at any point along that timeline, if I come to you 2 years, 3 months into it, and I stick my finger on a day, where should we be here? What would be the deliverables and the measurables here? How much would we have spent? Where would we have gotten to here?
But but
No, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
And
But
we
the
bring him back.
ministry
We bring
appointments,
him back there
right?
8 months from now.
But the ministry
You said we
appointments,
would be here.
right?
Where are we?
But
You need to vet and ratify. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So Parliament is supposed to ask questions. Give me a detailed working plan as to how you're going to fix public health. You have 5 years, and we average $5 billion a year. So you have $25 billion over the course of 5 years to get our public health. Now, one of the people I was talking to all of this week is somebody who that's his job. He goes to hospitals that are dysfunctional and identifies where the dysfunction is. He's giving me an
Right.
example.
yes,
Trinidad needs a pre-casualty fielding office doing simple triage. That's asking, that's giving you a number system. That your complaint, your emergency is a 1 to 5, 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. Ones and twos, go to your family doctor, get them this.
right.
3, 4s, and 5s, we're taking you forward. So that immediately you start to clear up and stop wasting emergency doctors' times. But those things are available in the entire civilized world. Our ministers know Keith Rowley and Maxi Coffee, they went abroad to have their health attended to because they know. Now imagine, a Progressive Empowerment Party government comes to office and we say, if you have a public service salary, you have to use public health.
Yeah.
Have to
Yes.
use public health by law.
Yes.
By law. If you use a private hospital for a service that public health is supposed to offer, we could fire you. Because if the people who are responsible for the operation of public health is not using public health, what's the point?
Exactly, but how do you have a minister go from Minister of National Security to housing? What was his background in housing that he is going to add value to this organization?
point.
What about the
Right?
Minister of Tourism going and being the Minister of Sport?
Sports.
Anyway.
And she said it, Anthony. She
Rear
said
end
it
from
on
her
TV.
elbow.
She has no idea what she's doing. She
said it.
said it.
A country that has Shaka Hislop, one of the best known athletes in the world now, Brian Lara, Dwight York, Atto Bolden, Gene Samuel,
Yes.
Michael Phillips. Here your names are called, eh?
Right.
These are people who have been in athletics for years.
Decades.
Atto Bolden has in his stable of athletes some of the best in the world. He took Brianna Williams from the age of 11. At 17, when Atto took Brianna from the age of 11, where she is at 17, the world is poised for the arrival. Call your Olympics, Just call it, because the world is waiting to see the next Usain Bolt is Brianna Williams, and the world is waiting to see her cross that 100 meters line, winning the gold.
So why don't we utilize people that are adding value to our country?
No, because you have people like Hasty Crawford telling Atto Boland he know what he's talking about. So that as long as political operatives could continue to get political patronage and government. You see, when Michael Phillips was put as the head of the sport TT, and he told them halfway into the term, you all are serious, and quit the job, that's a man of integrity.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
It's a matter of
it. It's like,
integrity.
it's so much.
He said, this is not what I signed on for.
Exactly.
Again, you could hire anybody in the world. You spend the kind of money we spend. our public health needs to move from here to here. Have a plan. Have a goal. Have a target. What do we want? We want 10-minute ambulance times. We want 10-minute service time in casualty. That's our goals. How do we get from ambulance may or may not come, and you could be in casualty for 4 days waiting for a doctor. So we know where we are, and we know where we want to go. We could plan a plan. Sit me down with somebody who says, this is your timeline. Every 3 months, I could break it down for you. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter of the short-term plan. And you said in your timelines, and when you look at a professional timeline, you see green, light green, yellow, orange. And you know going forward that certain things are supposed to be happening. So if I come to you 6 months in and stick a pin, you said we'd be here. Are we there? If not, why not?
But Philip, what you are asking is first world standards. Anthony mentioned it a few weeks ago. You know, all these degrees, where did these people go to school? Duncy 101? Because what is going on
Parliament
here?
for Dummies. They read that
where did they go to school?
People
that
mistake
these
people
standards
mistaken
they don't
that. No,
know.
people mistaken that with an education. You know that a lot of this is certification.
Yes.
You can get a 9-month master's in Trinidad now from Australia. A master of what? A master's degree used to mean that you have between 7 to 10 years experience under your belt.
Correct.
Actual,
Correct.
practical
Correct.
experience.
Yes.
And now you're going to get the theory and the certification down tight.
Correct.
So that you could have been a police officer with a criminology degree and operate for 7 years and go and get your master's based on track record, based on knowledge.
Correct.
Not just box ticking. Can you recognize, is this a brown fox or a black eagle? And you're ticking boxes. Yes, you should be a master. The only thing that you could be in 9 months as a master is a masturbator. You can't
Oh my goodness.
be. I'm a master baker.
Right, Master Baker. Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
Everything that is broken in Trinidad and Tobago be fixed, Michelle. Every single
Yes,
thing. including
I
this
know that.
Corruption and the accountability, the transparency, the state. We, Progressive Empowerment Party, proposes that all contracts that have to be done in a constituency must be done by companies from the constituency
Yeah.
Yes.
with workers from the constituency. So no
Correct.
more overnight junior Sami Calco, Kusal, no more of that.
Correct.
41 constituencies, 41 pools of contractors to do the jobs. You don't need Junior Sammy to fix schools. Any monkey with a hammer could. I mean, I'm not trying to be deliberately facetious, but I'm trying to make the point that you don't require multi-million-dollar contractors to eat all the food.
Right.
Spread the wealth. If the public works that is taking place in the country happens within the constituencies, then the money will drill down to the ground. And a lot of those people that finding themselves in gangs would find themselves gainfully
employed.
Exactly.
And money flowing, and they could feed their families. And we are the PEP. We are for the people, providing opportunities for the people, spreading the wealth. Why must the wealth be focused? People say, you know, are you against, you know, when we refer to the 1%, they think we are referring to the unfair distribution of wealth in this country. When we say 1%, we're not talking race here. We're talking about it is an unfair distribution. Why must Laventille be this way when Westmoreland is another way?
Laventille,
Why can't the entire
Morpeth?
country be this way?
I was speaking to the same person today about the public health system, and he was telling me, while I'm here, I'm looking around at opportunities to do business. I said, what you mean? He said, the company that I buy bandages and wraps, their office is based in Florida, but the bandages is made in Trinidad. Morvan, Beetham, Laventille, and Silot, East Port of Spain, 60,000 people, a fantastic pool of ready labor in a country where our dollar is 1/13 the United States dollar. So if Apple wanted to put screens and phones to sell back into America, it would be cheaper to do it here than in America. When they talk about outsourcing jobs, outsource it to Trinidad and Tobago. Let's open Trinidad and Tobago for business. That's another way. But we run out of time. And Mr. Anthony Defoe, you've been very vocal today, I must.
Well, no, I gave the floor to our two lovely guests that we have here today, and as usual, you know, good insight, good information, good interaction, as usual. Really hoping that, you know, you out there, Trinidad and Tobago, understood what was being said and can actually wrap your head around the whole ensemble of things and the life that we live here as Trinbagonians, because it's a madhouse in this place that we call home. And you know what PEP is just trying to do is to bring some level of sanity to our citizens, because we've been doing this way too long. 57 years is a very long time for us to still be a third world nation, which is said on the international platform that we are the third richest economy and have nothing to actually show for it. You know, that actually says a whole lot as what we are as a people and who we are as a people. The whole point of the Progressive Empowerment Party is to give you the type of information, educate you, let you know what your rights are, what the laws stand for you as a citizen. And because this is information that has been kept away from you, is why we have these people in Parliament and certain parts and sectors of our country that is basically taking advantage of the rest of the nation, basically. Is why our economy is being hemorrhaged the way that it is, because, again, you have overpriced contracts, and it's just so many things. And like our discussion today, which is corruption, you know, this is how we are able to, and you've heard how wide that scope has been, being able to talk and interact and interconnect just about so many different areas, from education to construction to the health sector. I mean, you name it, it's all broken Trinidad and Tobago. And again, giving the Progressive Empowerment Party a chance in getting into that parliament and really trying to fix things. Listen, we are going to allow you, the citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, to hold us accountable in moving our country forward. We have no intentions and plans in having politics the way it's been done for the last 57 years. It's a new time, it's a new era, it's a new point in our history, and given the chance, we as a people, having a Progressive Empowerment Party government in that parliament, we can actually celebrate an actual independence of our nation and our people, and to strive for a better country where everyone has rights and have value in their pocket, which is a very important thing. But again, this has been Plain Talk. My name is Anthony Defoe, Deputy Political Leader, and it's Tuesday, 13th of August. And again, our discussion today was corruption. I just want to give one quick little plug. We have our third annual barbecue taking place on Saturday, the 24th of August, 2019. And that's at the PEP head office here at 19 Stanmore Avenue, Port of Spain. Tickets are $50, and you have a couple numbers. In fact, I'll just give you a couple numbers, but you could check out the site on Facebook, that number for your tickets, which is $50, by the way. Great food, let me tell you. 775-1747, as well as 752-3172. Again, those numbers is 775-1747. Second number is 752-3172. Give a call, book your tickets, because they're selling out really fast. And I'm telling you, you're going to be biting your fingers off when you get this barbecue. Take my word, it's pepper. But anyway, again, I give great thanks for Michelle and Akila being on the show, as well as our main host of the night, Miss Alexander.
I just thinking that if I say we're closing and you talk so much, then I should say at the start we're closing.
Because
and I run. I want to hear you, know, Mr. Sexy.
Come on, man. You're a big joker, you know. But anyway, Trinidad and Tobago, again, it's our natural, normal, human element that we present to you, just to let you know that we are regular people just like you. So again, I'll turn the floor over to Michelle.
Trinidad and Tobago, we deserve better. We need to make an educated vote. We need to think policies and procedures. We need a government that is for us. No longer this party loyalty. We need to be loyal to ourselves. Corruption is destroying our country. Literally, we are known worldwide for corruptive behavior, which we should be known for Tobago, the beaches, oil, gas, coral, other things other than other than corrupted behavior. So we are here to educate, empower, and inform, and we do hope you take this information with you and really let it soak in what we deserve. We deserve a better country.
Thanks a lot for that, Michelle. Thanks a lot for that. And I was just saying, while you were talking, I was saying the 17 waterfalls, and I was thinking, I don't know how much waterfalls we have. I say 17.
Yeah.
There's nobody in this country who knows how many waterfalls we have, and nobody gonna argue with me. Well, all of a sudden it might end up in the national conversation that we have 17 waterfalls. Akila Bermudez, co-chair of the youth.
Yeah, well, on the topic of corruption, I just want to say that, well, today on Facebook, I had someone commented on a post and they said that PNM thief and UNC thief, and what is PEP going to do? They're going to come and thief too. So what they're going to do is vote back for PNM because they know where they stand with that thief.
So everybody thief.
And everybody
A
thief.
PNM minister actually put that in Trinidad lexicon, you know. A fella by the name of McCarthy, who say all are we thief. So Trinidadians have absolutely no trust or faith in politicians, and they think that everybody gonna thief.
Yeah, so I just want to say that we need to take our minds out of that mindset and really wake up to, what is actually going on in this country. And I just want to really thank Philip for bringing all the information and stuff, for the youths who we don't, I think most of the youth, they just don't want to go down that road of PNM, UNC, PNM. I think this is the time, we need a PEP government, and I just really thank you for, bringing all the information and stuff to the forefront. And yeah, opening our minds to the truth of government and politics and what we should be looking for, really. And so yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for bringing me on the show.
Any calls for the youth to come join with you all? I mean, you have anything coming up that they could be a part of, sign up for, membership, get involved?
Yeah, well, you can add us on Facebook, PEP Youth Advocates, and we post every day, so you can see all the information, all the forms, everything that we're doing. We have shows. Well, we're planning a show that's coming up. And if you're into like social media and stuff like that, you can message us and be a part of everything that we're doing.
Great job. Yeah, so a lot was discussed today, and while Tony was talking, I was thinking, Ralph Barrage, Paulo Kernahan, Michael Harris, all of social media, Calypsonians like Helen Francis, Bangela, Kurt Allen. When you read the words these people write, it's not just us. It's not just us talking. Other people are seeing and saying. We are on the Titanic, and there's an iceberg in our future. We can't continue whining on a sinking ship. It is not going to end well.
You are so correct. It's not going
The
to.
absolute poor. Like Saucy Thickness, who was debating us on Facebook today. Saucy, I want to give this little information to you. I am assuming by your name that you are operating at a certain level in the society. I mean, I've never met anybody in the 1% or even the middle class who dare to call themselves saucy or thick. So I'm going to assume that you're operating on a lower rung, and that is okay, because the government's job is to take care of everybody. The well-being of every single citizen is the function and purpose of government. That you don't understand it, Saucy, is why we live in a country as broken as we are. And for us to get to where we are going to be, as Akila said, we need to change the mindset about everybody being in politics thieving. That is not what it needs to be. Michelle spoke on issues of deliberate incompetency, and they're going to come a time, and we said in Chaguanas, you quoted yourself, and the thing that I accidentally said in Chaguanas is, people would make such a stink if they go to KFC to buy a box of chicken and chips and don't get what they paid for. But they don't make a stink about the mismanagement in government. And if we could get people, Tony, to take the government as seriously as they take the KFC.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct.
Satish Ramsaran, the head of PEP Media, the guy responsible for PEP Studios, he also manages, he's a man of many hats, many talents, many tricks. He also helps with the organization of PEP merchandise. And Satish, I want to tell you something. That sounds like a t-shirt waiting to happen, that KFC thing. I want to see what KFC might show us, but I don't know. We've actually sent people abroad to get prices and menus from every single KFC that we could find. I want to contrast and compare the value of work digging a hole in every one of the countries, including Trinidad, and how much KFC you could get for that effort. Yeah, because right now we know in New York City, you can get 2 dinner boxes for 1 hour's work digging a hole. In Trinidad, you get a wing and a side bread.
We were talking about that in Maracas when we went to buy a bacon shack, and it's like, how much for a bacon shack? Well, 2 bacon shack is like $70, $30. It's like that's like a day pay.
If you get away with calling Whitefish Shack for the past 30 years, you could do
get
them
away with that.
anything. Anyway, look, listen, this has been Plain Talk. It's always enjoyable. We're building a momentum in the conversation. We got it's on my Facebook, we got a sneak peek at somebody's poll, and in that poll, the Progressive Empowerment Party came first. None of the above came second over the PNM and the UNC. So I think that the people are waking up. I'm loving the responses to a lot of what the politicians are trying to take advantage of you with. I'm loving your pushback, and I'm saying to all of you, don't stop. The game is to wake everybody else up. As Michelle, Akila, and Tony said, the day we stop treating politics and party and start focusing on self and country, we will get to where we need to be. But until then, and until we come to you with another Plain Talk, I think we're going to be doing, if not next week, the following week, we're going to be doing a show on parenting and the family in Trinidad and Tobago, and that's going to be an interesting show. But until then,
Yes. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.
That was your line.